Let's do a relationship question. Here it is. Hey, me and my girlfriend are currently not in the same city due to work reasons, but we try to fly to each other every other week. Any advice on long distance relationships? Okay, so yeah, you're already actually in a much better spot than most guys with long distance because you are seeing each other regularly. That is the first key I would give you. You see, relationships have to fill needs for the two partners in the relationship. And if you're too far apart too often and not available to fill certain needs, then those needs go unmet, and then that person may look for getting that relationship need filled elsewhere. This is a phenomenon that I call the foreign filet mignon versus local dog food scenario, because so many times as I've traveled extensively, I've had situations where I can't go back to the city where a girl lives often enough, and they end up eventually dating someone of much lower caliber than me simply because I'm not around. So you're already doing the first step right. You're seeing her often enough. Ideally, you would actually be seeing a girl once a week as a bare minimum for maintaining a relationship. But if you are seeing her once every 2 weeks long distance, that's reasonable, especially if when you see her, you're seeing her for a relatively extended period of time. So if you're going and just like flying in, having dinner, having sex, and leaving, that's maybe not so good. But typically, if you're doing this, you're probably flying in for a day or two. You're spending some good quality time together. So that should theoretically be enough. However, there is another issue, which is simply how long has it been since you've interacted? And you want to minimize this time as well. So I would highly recommend that you try to do calls, or better yet, video calls of some kind, FaceTime, Zoom, whatever. WhatsApp calls are good. Try and do those at least once a week, if not a few times a week. And you should do these in a way that doesn't impede your life too much. So if you're sitting around doing nothing, you have some downtime, and she happens to have downtime at the same time of day, go ahead and give her a call. If you're both sitting at home eating dinner, put on the phone and eat dinner together, have a dinner date via Zoom. But having a little bit more interaction actually helps. If you guys commute to work, that's a great time to maybe spend your commutes together and just enjoy each other's company. But you want to have that sort of familiarity, and you want to have that regular contact that's going to keep things good. Also, obviously, you want to make the time when you're with her as good as possible. So make sure that you have available your full undivided attention when you go there. If you're there for a day and a half, try and actually legitimately spend a day and a half really interacting in a positive way with her. Try and get your other work done if you can. Try and go with a positive attitude and not let other elements of your life weigh on you and drag you down. Because in a normal relationship, if you have like a fight or something goes bad, you see her again the next day, you correct it. In a long distance relationship, if you leave things on a negative note, it may be a week or two until you see her again. It can really linger and it can really fester. So do put in the time and effort and energy to make the time you have with her very, very good. And by the way, being good in bed helps a lot. Just saying. However, even though you have a pretty sustainable long distance arrangement going on, you are seeing her enough, it sounds like you can have quality time together, at some point even that will expire. So you want to find a way to eventually make it not long distance if this is a girl you see a real long-term future with. So if this is a case where she's just doing an internship for a semester and then she'll be back in your city, you're probably okay. But if this is a case where you guys have divergent careers and divergent cities, at some point, if you want the relationship to work, one or the other of you is going to have to change cities. Hopefully, ideally, you can do that without making a career sacrifice or without giving up other things you love in your life. But at some point, that may be the situation you arrive at. One or the other of you may have to just bite the bullet and move to the other person's city. I would highly recommend getting her to move to your city if possible, simply because it really sucks to make a needy move, a needy gesture, and then have the relationship fall apart and have given that sacrifice. So from a self-interested perspective of you being my fan and her not being my fan, I would prefer she move to you. But regardless, if it is something you really truly care about and it is something you want a long-term future in, at some point you need to come together in the same city. And for most professions, you probably can find something equivalent or good in her city or your city, right? If you're a dentist, you can be a dentist in Chicago or New York or LA or Las Vegas or wherever, for example. In general, overall, just remember what a relationship is. A relationship is a contract, an agreement between two people that satisfies the needs of those two people. If you find a way to satisfy those needs, the relationship will thrive. If you fail at satisfying those needs, it won't. When you're long distance, some of those needs are harder to satisfy, so you need to put in a little bit of extra effort. And fundamentally, you can make up for your absence in one of two ways, either by having less absence, i.e. spending more time interacting even if from distance, or secondly, by making the time you have together even better. And may I reiterate, it does help to be good in bed. But that said, hopefully that answers your question, hopefully that helps you out, and hopefully that helps out not only people with long distance relationships, but anyone with a relationship at all. Hopefully you enjoyed that answer. Hopefully you have comments, ideas, other questions to post for me down below so that I can read them and get back to you, and hopefully I'll see you on the next video. Take care.